want to take you back to the summer of 1978, where the music was bold, the skirts were short, and finding your voice may have been the hardest song to sing. But I've got an author I'd like you to meet whose book takes you on a journey of self-discovery from that summer of 78 as her character encounters sexist and moral challenges while touring with King Vito's swing band. Will she find the courage to conquer her fears of intimidation and learn to assert her authentic voice? Stick around because you'll not only find out, you'll learn more about the book and the writing journey this author took to create it.
Welcome to A Book Finds You podcast. This week's guest is Jean Burgess. Join us as she shares the inspiration behind her book, along with her writing process, routines, and challenges. And now, here's your host, best-selling author, Rob Jolles.
Today's guest, Jean Burgess, is a former professional actor, director, author, and theater educator. Her debut film, That Summer She Found Her Voice, a retro novel, is loosely based on Jean's first paid gig as a singer in a touring big band in 1978. The book was recognized among top notable indie titles by Shelf Unbound in December 2024. Happy to have you with us, and welcome to the show, Jean.
Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Outstanding. A pleasure to have you. And I like diving right in. And, you know, the name of the show is A Book Finds You. So you're up. How did this book find you?
Well, as you mentioned, I was a professional actor. One of my very first performing gigs right out of college was as a singer with a swing band, not in the Baltimore area, but actually in the Midwest. And that experience, it was wild and crazy in the late 70s, and it just sat with me all these many years. And COVID hit, and I was sitting home twiddling my thumbs and said, I got a story. How am I going to write it? And I thought, screenplay? No. Memoir? And I decided to fictionalize it, and I had a great fun writing That Summer She Found Her Voice, a retro novel. And I just had a great time writing it. So that's how it came to be and found me.
There you go. Yeah, but right along when COVID found everybody.
Well, yeah.
I started a podcast about, I didn't know COVID was on the doorsteps. I started it in late December of 2019. And so, but that was sort of my project, one of my projects I had going. It was a great time to be writing and creating. Let's put it that way.
I agree.
I promised everybody that we'd get to the bottom of this character. So did this main character, what was that character's name? Is it Mary?
Margie
Okay.
Stevens.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Did Margie Stevens find the courage to conquer her fears of intimidation and learn to assert her authentic voice? Or do we have to get the book to find out? Can you give us a hint?
Well, I'm not telling.
You didn't fall for it, huh? Okay. Oh, yeah, that's it. Amazon, you go, everybody. That's the only way. She's not giving up anything. Good. Good for you. Good for you. It is funny. I love, a book finds you because clearly that time in your life found you. But this book did find you years and years ago. And some people don't realize that authors can kind of sit on a book for a lifetime. I commend the fact that you found the time and you got it done.
Well, thank you. Yes, this is actually my second book. My first book was a nonfiction, but this is my debut fiction. I wasn't sure if I could, leap genres that way. So it challenged me in many ways, as I'm sure other writers are challenged in many ways.
Yeah. Well, it challenged you so much that I actually write business books and have never written a fictional book. And why? Because my hands tremble when they get near the keyboard. It is a different style of writing.
Absolutely.
So let's put the two together for just a second. If you put sort of that other nonfiction on one side, this on the other, what was the biggest challenge to kind of make that turn? And I'm asking this selfishly for me, but of course, all our listeners as well.
Wow, biggest challenge. Oh, well, it was taking that leap. It was being very open to learning how to write fiction. I'll tell you, I was like a sponge. I took every webinar. I'm a member of Maryland Writers Association, as of course the listeners will know. I took every class workshop that was available, read a lot of books about the craft, and I'm
Right,
still learning. Yeah, as I write the sequel.
right. Oh, you're working on a sequel?
Yes.
Yeah. Can't stop her. She's on a roll now. How do you know? And this is a struggle I've had, and I think a lot of people have. When you do a nonfiction, for me at least, I'm actually just almost reporting on something. Okay.
Mhm.
Fiction is a lot of creation, etc. How do you know when an idea is worth pursuing?
I think you just, well, what do I know? I'm new to it.
Yeah, but you drove this car across the finish line. So reflect back.
Yes, I just trusted that story. It was eating away at me. Like you said, I mean, I had that story. It was first, it was a matter of how was it going to manifest, and I said, should it be a screenplay? Should it be a memoir? I'll tell you, I dabbled a little bit as a screenplay, and I have written plays before. So I thought, oh, I've written plays before. And I just didn't, it didn't sit well. I
Hmm.
thought, no, I think a fictionalized story, because I wrote in a little criminal intrigue that never really happened in real life, I just made it more interesting. So, but that all grew, and I don't know how people can whip out 3 books a year. I mean, this took me time, 7 revisions,
Oof.
but patience, and let it grow organically, and trust. Um, at least for me, I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well, everybody does it their own way, and yet
Yeah.
there's some common threads that can be pulled through. So let's stay on that writing routine. Um,
Mhm.
do you have a daily routine, or do you write when the moment hits you?
I'm pretty disciplined.
Hmm.
So yeah, I write for me in about 5 hours a day.
Oh.
I'm a outliner. I'm not a pantser. You've heard those terms.
Hmm.
I outline for this book. I had little note cards. I went back and I remembered all my experiences, the weird things that happened while I was on tour, and I had them all on note cards so that I could physically move them around. Yes, I know there's software that can do that, but I'm a very hands-on person. So I
Yeah.
had them on a big bulletin board in my office so that I could manipulate them. Um, that's how, that was my process. And then I filled in. I mentioned this criminal intrigue with the band leader that I added into the story. That came a little later because I felt that I read a lot too, so I know what readers like. And I thought this needed a little kick in the butt. So I added that in. And then I continued to take workshops and said, oh, that's how you can add suspense. That's how you can. And so I learned craft along the way. But yeah, I'm in terms of I'm pretty disciplined.
Right.
Uh, yeah,
I'm hearing that, and if you listen to our shows, everybody has their own way of doing this,
sure.
except that common thread is there's a level of discipline that's involved. So you threw out 5 hours a day, and you probably heard a little click. That was my jaw. I was just sort of reinserting it into my mouth. That's a lot of hours. We're not talking 7 days a week, are we?
I take weekends off. I treat it like a business.
Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
I need to restore.
Right. Wow. Okay. Any particular time of day, or is it stay with that routine? We get up, we have a cup of coffee, we check our emails, and then go, or is that how it's done?
That's how I do.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
shut that email off when you're working?
Um, yes, email. Yeah, but I sometimes get distracted. Hey, I'm human. Uh,
How dare you? Okay. You outed yourself there. With that 5 hours a day, I wasn't quite sure, but thanks for throwing that in, actually. Uh,
that's me. Yeah. Now, I will tell you with my other book, I was working full time.
Mhm.
So this is my nonfiction, and I only had Mondays. I was working not full time, I was working 4 days a week, but Mondays I had off. And I worked from 8 to 6 Mondays. That was
Wow.
my day. Everybody knew, don't bother Jean on Mondays. I didn't, if there was a luncheon, if there was, I was in marketing at the time, and people would say, oh, there's a marketing luncheon or whatever. I can't go. That's my writing day. And that's how I got that book done. So
Right.
I'm very disciplined.
I think it's really
I'm very
important.
disciplined.
Yeah, she's patting herself on the back and she says that. But I admire that. I'm a pretty disciplined person myself. Now I don't, but not like you. I don't go 5 hours a day. What I
Hmm.
will tell myself is I'll give myself a certain number of hours in a week, and I'll say
Okay.
if you can knock out five on Monday, good for you. But if you can't, the rest of the week just got a little bit heavier. And if you're missing a couple days, now you're going to have some 5 hour days maybe. But that's what I mean in terms of everybody does it a little bit differently. If you can make that deal with yourself and
Mhm.
adhere to it, it works. So there's when it works for me. What works
Yeah.
for you is 5 hours, 5 hours a day. I asked about email because, as disciplined as you are, I'm wondering how that email interferes with you because there's reports out there of just how much time it takes us to get back to where we were.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yep.
There are tricks, though. There's tricks when you, like, if I take a break, I make sure I stop in a way that I can get back right back into it.
Good.
Another way I get back into it is I edit the chapter or the section that I've just finished, and then that gets me back into the flow. So there's I learned tricks
Mm,
that help me. Again, that may not work for other
right,
writers, but that works for me.
right. Now, I know one trick is to just turn off the email.
Yes.
There was a lawsuit. I'll do this in 20 seconds, but there's a lawsuit years ago when we had VCRs of a company that was said for $20, we'll make that blinking light on your VCR go away. And people sent their money in and they sent back a piece of black electrical tape. And the lawsuit was that mail fraud or was that legit? And it turned out that was legit. They did what they said they were going to do. You're doing what you say you're going to do. You just have your own way of doing it.
Yes.
I struggle, so it's easier for me to just shut it off. But everybody has their own way. What about a location? Do you have a specific location that you like to write from?
Uh,
Hmm.
my office is really set up to stimulate me. So I
Good.
like a lot of visual. I do a lot of research in my books because they're set in the 70s or in the retro period. The next book is in the early 80s. So I use a lot of images that are helpful. And so my office is filled with those. Yeah, so my office.
Good.
But occasionally I will take a pad and pencil and sit outside if I need a different stimuli.
Right.
So,
Right. Well, environment is, I think it's underestimated a little bit. You've really got to be in a comfortable environment. It's not an expensive environment. I've written in the back of public libraries in that research area where no one's
mhm,
really allowed to talk in there. The rest of
mhm,
the library, not so much. And I'm taking it to some exotic places. Probably wrote one of my books completely, every word actually up in airplanes because I was just traveling a lot. And so that was my time when I was home was with my family. But that's what I mean, everybody. You sort of have to find what works for you because you don't want to be
mhm.
fighting this. You want to be comfortable in that environment. And you've got a comfortable environment to writing. Good. That works for you. All right. What's the most challenging part of the writing process for you? Hmm. She's thinking. She's
I
pondering.
don't know.
Coming up with an answer
Um,
to this question. That's the most challenging part for you.
well, I think because I'm still learning
Uh-huh.
about fiction. So there's elements of the craft that I'm still um learning as I'm writing, you
Right.
know.
So let's reverse engineer the question. Let's say you were talking to, I don't know, Rob Jolles, who was thinking about writing a fictional book. And now that you've come through it, and you're looking back, I'm sure there's a move or two you would have done differently. So, what would you whisper in somebody's ear and said, if I did it again, here's something I learned through the process?
Yeah, well, and I can apply that to first book, second book,
Mhm.
because since I've written this sequel, it went much better, much easier, more efficiently, the second book, because I did make a lot of mistakes the first book. And what were those mistakes, Jean? It was kind of plowing through and it was disorganized, even though I did use sort of an outline and I had to go back and fix holes in the plot. But there's pantsers out there that just write and plow through and they do a beautiful job. So again, this is me in my experience writing, and other people may not have that same problem. But I would say, regardless, whether you're a pantser or whether you use an outline, really having a good sense of your story arc and plot structure is probably going to, where the story's going is probably going to be helpful and not have to go back and fix the
Yeah,
plot.
yeah,
That really is hard. And
yeah.
I had to do that the first time. I had to fix the plot. And the second time, the sequel, I didn't have to do that. There weren't as many revisions. There weren't as many, just learned so much more. Yeah, that was helpful. So I guess that would be something I could share, uh,
Yeah.
with Rob.
Yeah, and everyone else, but yes, Rob selfishly is drilling down on this a little bit further than usual. And if you're a big fan of the show, but it's a different, like I say, it's a different form of writing. We have very different styles, you and me. But again, I think more nonfiction, so I can get away with certain things, but with an outline. But here's a question: I think nonfiction or fiction doesn't matter. Have you ever been writing? I know you're trying to fill in all the holes and be methodical. But what about the times when you're writing and all of a sudden this bulb goes off and it's not on that whiteboard where you've got everything sketched out, but by golly, this idea has just bitten you.
Mhm.
What do you do then?
Well, I pursue it.
Good.
Yeah,
Good answer. Keep
absolutely.
going. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not gonna, because even if I only use a portion of it,
Gene, you'd be surprised when people are very disciplined. And I'm a corporate trainer. I came up as a corporate trainer. I taught processes for Xerox. I taught people how to problem solve. And there were many times where I was teaching a class, these were 4-day classes where we'd be doing simulations and we had brainstormed and expanded and contracted. And somebody would put up their hand and go, I know we're done brainstorming, but I have this idea. And the instinct of the room would be to shout them down and go, sorry, we already finished the brainstorming part. Okay. And when you really remove yourself from that and you look at it, go, wait a minute, why are we here again? To come up with the best idea, to come up with the best script, the best plot line we can. So I think it's important we have this conversation, particularly for disciplined people, to realize that as tight as you may want to make it, if something really nests, you got to listen.
yes, yeah, absolutely. I think I'm a little bit of an anomaly in with my theater background and that
Uh-huh.
creativity. But I'll tell you, but even with theater, I'm an actor, but a director. So a director has a lot of that very disciplined. You've got to get the show on, you've got to follow
Hmm.
this this procedural
Right.
SOP,
Right.
to use your language, standard operating procedure to get the show on, right? The actor is the freewheeling creative. So I think I have a little bit of that left brain, right brain
Mm.
in my approach to even writing
Yeah.
as well. And if anything, but we all have to know ourselves as a writer. So every writer should probably ask themselves that. Am I, whoa, I'm all over the place. I'm whatever. Maybe I need to tap into my left brain a little bit and be, okay, what do I need to do to get this plot to get from the complete arc?
Yeah.
Or am I too uptight,
Right.
too structural? What do I need to be more freeing?
Right.
So there's a balance. We need to tap in sometimes. And I probably could be a little bit more freeing. And what do you do? So, maybe I need to journal more, maybe tap in more, take more workshops that free me
Right.
more. But somebody else maybe needs to do a little bit more of those exercises that force you within a confined and or whatever to tap into that. But we're all probably one way or the other, and we can benefit from both.
I think you said that beautifully. I think that's really putting it in a nutshell. We really don't want to be a prisoner of either side, even if
Right.
we look at each other and go, well, my natural instinct, that's terrific, but you're really going to grow as a writer if we get to that other side. I'm not asking for 50-50. I'm asking for you to just listen to that, to accept that voice. And that's where sometimes even people like me who are very process oriented have to remember it's a process, not a straitjacket. And if we put that up on the board, I think we'll do okay. All right, let's swing into the publishing and marketing side of things. What was your path to getting published?
Okay, yeah. And this is a little interesting too. Um, I did the thing. I did the thing. I
Oh, that clears it up.
I thought, oh, I gotta get an agent. I gotta go traditional.
Mm,
I beat my head against the wall and tried to get an agent and do the pitches and go to the conferences and write the
mhm.
many, many query letters. And finally I just went, hold up. What do I want for this book? This is my first fiction. And I do a lot of presentations for writers, a lot of presentations, and I talk about what is your writer's purpose? And I ask myself, what is my purpose? What do I want for any of my writing, whether it's nonfiction or fiction? What do I want? And I really had to sit quietly with myself and reflect. What I want with this book or anything is to help people. I'm a teacher. For 23 years, I was a college professor. So, um, and to start conversations.
Mhm.
There's elements in this book that tie into themes that I think can start conversations and with anything that I write. So I was like, do I really need to pursue an agent with this first book? It's not about me making a ton of money or fame and fortune. Maybe that's somebody else's goal. It's perfectly fine if that is. But I had to ask myself. So I was like, no, I could self-publish, but that wasn't right for me either. Because to and I don't even say why. I wanted I did want a publisher. That was important because I wanted to do presentations and I wanted that goal for me was to reach people, to talk to people, to start the conversations. And I do that through my presentations and my workshops and that sort of thing. And I like to sell books. I love that. But I like to talk to people while I'm selling the
Right,
books. And it's all part of my marketing, which is the next part of your question.
right.
So small press was what I wanted to do. And so as soon as I let go of this sort of need, and again, this is my journey, not everybody's journey, this need to get an agent and to get traditionally published with one of the big top 5 or 4 or 3 or whatever we're talking about now, publishers.
Yeah, they're shrinking, but keep yeah.
Yes. I felt this weight going off of my shoulders, and I did my direct queries because you don't need an agent to go to many of the indie presses. And the second one picked up the book. I am very happy with my choice, and it gave me some prestige. I think I needed that cred that I had a publisher
Right,
so that when I'm pitching organizations and groups and institutions to do presentations and to do author talks and that sort of thing, I think it helps that I have a publisher and I'm not self-published. And so that was part of my journey and it aligns with my purpose, my
right,
writer's purpose. So
right.
that's my deal.
Got it. It's a good idea, and quite frankly, one of the reasons why you got that independent publisher, that indie publisher, is because of your presentations. Publishers want to know what the author is going to do to move this book. And one of the things that's most appetizing to them is I am willing to go to the Rotary clubs, go to, actually try and build a brand around this book. And if you can make that argument, I want everybody to focus right now. If you can make that argument, it doesn't guarantee you a publisher, but that's the question they're waiting to hear answered. And they won't really ask it. But if they don't hear the answer, they're going to go, well, thank you. We'll think about it. And you're going to get one of those letters in the mail. Good for you. And last thing, just so you know, I wish you had spoken to me beforehand. I'm sure there's some amazing agents out there. I hope they actually appreciate what I'm about to say. But I truly believe it's harder to find an agent than a publisher. A lot of us get discouraged trying to find agents. Find your publisher. I love the path that you're on. And if this book kicks butt, you won't have to worry about finding an agent. Okay. They'll find you. So I think for a person who hasn't done this a whole lot, every move that you've described was the right move. I would have told you that, and I've been in this for over 30 years. So good on you. Really. Your instincts were really good. And keep working on that speaking side of it because it does move books, but it also moves publishers. They like hearing about it. And if you have a track record for that, they're going to be impressed. Okay, so the marketing side. Well, we know you're going to do some speaking. Any other marketing tips or things that you've tried that maybe it worked, maybe it didn't, but you could share with us?
Yeah, everything. I do everything.
No wonder the publisher like you. Yes, that's another good answer. But all right, give me a couple.
Yeah, so well, the presentations I present to, I have a list of So here's my thing. In fact, I'm doing a presentation on this topic for the Eastern Shore Writers Association conference in March and it's called So You Publish Your Book, Now What? And it's kind of creative approaches to this topic. So here's how I think. I look at my book and I pull out themes from it. And then I think, well, what organizations might be interested in these themes? So it's not just I have a generic author talk, with the slides and it's interesting because it's retro.
Mhm.
So they're funny slides, like, things from the 70s and people go, ah, and it's because it's fun to look back and retro is kind of in right now. That works for my book. But if you have a cozy mystery, you could do similar, pull out some themes for that. Or if it's, what is sci-fi, certainly there's an audience for that. So whatever, right? So let's get back to me. Um, so, so that's what I did. I have a lot of history involved. So there's groups that are interested in the historical research that I did for this book. There's a lot of musical elements to this book, not just swing music, but jazz and funk and all kinds of different disco, you name it. So there's groups that there's music lovers. So I've fashioned different presentations around those. So who likes that? There's art centers, there's bookstores that I can have a music expert interview me. So not just the typical, hey, hi, I'm an author, because now you're competing with every author, but you focus on your audience and then how can you make your thing a little bit more unique? So that's bookstores, art centers, of course, libraries. When I say presentations, it's sometimes it's not just a presentation. Um, it's something unique in the presentation, and then there's a whole thing. It's actual workshop type presentations, and my teaching experience comes into that. So I have a whole list of those, probably about 7 or 8 different kinds of workshops that I offer as well. And of course, I always weave my book, mention it in there, but that's not the thrust of those. It's really offering, an experience, usually writing related. Those are for any organization that maybe has a writer in it. But I've sometimes done it at senior centers. rec centers, high school, colleges, there's a whole line. So here's what I do. Excel sheet, and I have a category, and then I have any idea. I'm very organized, right? I
Are
have
you
any
really? Are you organized? I wasn't sure yet, but yeah, keep. Of course you are. Keep going.
have any idea, and then I research it, and if it doesn't pan out, then I just put a little X by it you know, and then put it kind of at the bottom so I don't repeat that later and go, oh, did I research that or not? And this is what I do in January and February, and then I fill out my calendar for the year. I am so busy, and oh, the other thing is book clubs. Book clubs.
Yep.
I'm still kind of working on how to reach book clubs. So if anybody has an idea, reach out to me. But they're trickling in.
Right.
I have a newsletter and I get a 60 to 70% open rate on that, and people respond to me. So to me, it's about personalized. I don't want 10,000 people subscribing to my newsletter. That means nothing to me. I want to have a personal relationship with them. So I'd rather have 500 people that actually respond to me and send me responses.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense to me. And I'm going to pay you a compliment and tell you of everyone I've had on this show, you have just given the most complete answer to that question. And
Mm,
including within your answer that there's no right or wrong way. There's many
mm,
ways to do this, but you've got to find a rhythm that works for you. Love the fact, I think that you're speaking as I do that for a living. What people don't understand is they'll say, well, why would I want to speak at this little something here?
mm.
And my answer to you is that it's like a boxer. You need ring work. You need to get up there. You were an actress. Sometimes the house isn't as big as another house that you're performing in front of, but it all counts. It all matters. And you never know when the big one will be coming. And you want to be in tune and in rhythm. And so I'm not one to cherry pick audiences either. They're all of value to me. I'm learning something. I'm learning how to economize my words, to explain things that are difficult. When you think about it, and I'm taking you to your nonfiction side for a second, but what makes us nonfiction authors better? It's not that we've created a whole new system, but we've learned how to say things that are easier to understand and digest, and that can take decades to figure out. So we need that ring work. And I think also for this next book, you show a publisher a calendar like you're describing right now. That's what the publisher wants to see. Not I'm really good. I'm passionate. I love this. I know that, but they hear that every day. Your story
Mhm.
is much different. Really, really impressive. I'm without sounding condescending, I'm proud of you. I wish more authors would understand.
Thank you.
Well, and I mean that sincerely because I think sometimes what happens is we work so hard on getting the book done and the drafts of the books and this the book and okay, we're going through graphics or whatever. And finally the book comes out and it's like authors just seem exhausted. And I want to tell them, oh, no, 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 no. You're just getting to the starting line now. You just went
Right.
into another building, but this is the starting line. And I look at them like our children. We have to fight for this book. You, Gene, you fight for your book.
Right.
And that's impressive. And so, folks, take some tips. And as you just heard her say, she's scratching the surface. There's many ways to do this. Pick six that you like, but
It's
there are many, many ways to do it. I learned a lot from you today. How do people get a hold of you?
oh yeah. My website is www.jeanburgessauthor.com.
All right, you got to spell Burgess. I'm looking at it, but you know how the internet is. All right,
Sure.
Jean, no dots, no spaces. Jean.
Burgess author
That we know. .com.
dot
Beautiful.
com.
And all right, I got to linger for one more question because I haven't seen that website yet. Does that website, good luck with this answer, does that website give you the ability to gather and hold names? Can people sign up for your newsletter on that website?
Yes, on every page there's a sign up. So,
Good.
I would love to have folks sign up that way. That's
Good.
fine. And
Good.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
wonderful. Well, it's important. Again, I think, again, people put together a website, they forget, hey, I know the traffic might not be what you want it to be quite yet, but let's start building that database, start building those names. Uh-oh, guess what I'm hearing in my head? Publisher. Publisher wants to see your activities and just how many people you're connecting to. So these are all, and this might be your next book or your book after that, but if you want to go into indie, if you want to go conventional, these are the things that we do, and we get on podcasts like you're on right now. Good for you. So look, terrific. A lot of times I'm trying to encourage people to do certain things. I'm taking notes on. Um, I'm listening and I'm learning myself. Just a fabulous job. Wish you nothing but success with your book. You're doing it the right way. Keep going. Show us the
Thanks.
way. And congratulations, truly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, folks, we'll do it again as well as we can next time. Until then, stay safe.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoyed today's guest author, we'd love you to rate, review, and share this episode with others. If you'd like more information on today's guest or the Maryland Writers Association, please visit our website at marylandwriters.org. You can also find out about the history of the Maryland Writers Association by listening to our first podcast, Episode 0.